Good morning everyone. My name is Sachi Caspe. Together with Miss Hanilyn Caspe, we will discuss about the assessment in teaching, listening comprehension. And I will discuss the introduction about the assessment in teaching and listening comprehension and discuss it, and followed by Miss Hanilyn. She will discuss about the possible activities, fun activities to improve listening comprehension skills, and the conclusion of our report. So, for the introduction, one of the best way to help your child develop their listening skills is to model good listening yourself. When you are talking to your child, make sure to give them your full attention and put away any distraction and make eye contact and actively listen to what they are saying. This can be a challenge, especially if you have a lot of on your plate, but it's important to make the effort as it will set a good example for your child. So to be a good listener, make sure that you give your full attention to what people say, or you make an eye contact or actively listen to what they are saying. So if you are not sure how to actively listen, here are the few tips. First is repeat back what the other person said to show that you were listening. So if you are not if you didn't hear what they say, you can ask to that people that he or she needs to repeat what they are saying. And next is ask questions about what they said to show that you are interested. Of course, you need to ask question to see if you are really interested on what they are saying. And next is summarize what they said to make sure you understand. You need to summarize what they say if it is needed, to make sure that you really understand what they are saying. And next is avoid interrupting and wait until they have finished talking. So if you are an active listener, you need to avoid interrupting your conversation with the other people so that the flow of your conversation will be clear. And next is another way to help your child listen better is to work with them on building their vocabulary. The more words they know, the easier it will be for them to follow conversations and understand what others are saying. So here are the few simple ways you can help your child expand their vocabulary. First is read books together and talk about the characters, plot, and setting. So, to help your child expand their vocabulary, we need to read books together with them, and let's ask them about what they learned and who are the characters in the story and what is the plot of the story, and of course the setting in the story, so that their vocabulary will be expanded. And next is encourage them to ask questions when they hear a new word. So we need to encourage them to ask us a question if they hear a new word. Like for example, they hear love. They need to ask us if what is love, and we need to explain to them what love is. And next is help them look up words they don't know in the dictionary. And next is tell them stories about your own life and explain any new words. Next is intentionally practice listening skills. And next is finally, you can help your child improve their listening skills by intentionally practicing them. Make practicing listening skills a priority to work on it regularly. So we need to practice listening skills to have a better understanding, and also to learn a new word and to expand our vocabulary. Next, Listening comprehension is the ability to understand spoken language. It is a complex process that involves hearing, understanding, and responding to what's being said. For kids, listening comprehension skills are important for following directions at school and in everyday life. Good listening comprehension skills can also help with reading comprehension. That's because when kids listen to someone read aloud, they can picture the story and in their minds, which helps them to understand and remember what they have heard. Hearing and phonological awareness both play a role in listening comprehension, but they are different. So, when we say listening comprehension, it is our ability to understand spoken language or what people say. And for kids, it is very important because by listening by having a listening comprehension skills, they can follow the directions like or in school and in everyday life, and also good listening comprehension skills can help with the reading comprehension because like what I've said, kids listen to someone read aloud and they can picture the story in their minds. So if they listen carefully to what uh, what people read about the story, they can picture in their mind that this character is having a sword in her hands, like that. So next, I know you are also confused about the difference between hearing and listening. So this is the difference between hearing and listening. So hearing is the ability to detect sound. You need your ears and auditory system to function properly to hear. And while listening is, on the other hand, it is an active process, and it's what you do with what you hear. When you listen, you pay attention to the sounds around you and your brain tries to make sense of them. So the difference of hearing and listening is when hearing, it is the ability to detect sound. Like for example, the dog is barking, like that, and your ears and auditory system is functioned properly to hear. So in listening, on the other hand, it is an active process that when someone asks you or command you, like for example, ask a favor for you, you're and you hear that, you listen to that certain command, your brain will tries to make sense and you will actively do an action about it. So you can hear without necessarily listening. For example, you might be in a crowded room and hear many conversations going on at once, but you are not really listening to any of them because the words are sort of jumbled together into a lull. So next is hearing and listening are both important for understanding spoken language. So hearing and listening are both very important because it is our way to understand what people say, like spoken language, like that. So for the next slide, we have four types of listening. And the four types of listening are: first is the intensive listening, second is the responsive listening, third is the selective listening, and fourth is the extensive listening. So intensive listening is what you do in the classroom or elsewhere. The goal of intensive listening is to focus on a certain detail. This focusing on detail is often motivated by you having to answer the question, like for example, on a listening exercise or a test. So next in intensive listening is the responsive listening. So responsive listening is saying what you feel or what you heard the person say. Too often we are advised listeners, corrective listeners, detached listeners, and opinion listeners. If you are a responsive listeners, first you can move more effectively to advice giving, counseling, supporting, and correcting later. So if we have a responsive listening, we have that attitude that when someone has a when we heard someone that is wrong on the word, we have a responsive correcting later. And next is the selective listening. In selective listening or selective attention is the phenomenon that occurs when we only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. It's a type of mental filtering in which we tune out someone's opinion or ideas when they don't line up with ours. And next is last, the extensive listening. In extensive listening, it is a way to practice your English listening skills. It means listening to many different recordings, videos, and interviews about the same topic. This will help you get context for what you are listening to and will help you to learn more vocabulary. So here in extensive listening, we have the eagerness. Like we have a eagerness to practice our English listening skills or listening or English language. So we need to listen to the recordings or videos like that or interviews about their medium is English language, and by that it will help us to learn more vocabulary, to expand our vocabulary in English language. So that's all. Miss Hannelyn Casper will continue the discussion about the assessment in teaching listening comprehension. I hope you learned something. Bye!